Hello, everyone. If you're new here, welcome to the Justin Hollen podcast. And if you're returning, welcome back. For those of you that don't know who I am or what this podcast is about, my name is Justin Hollen, and this is a podcast where I host long-form conversations with friends, associates, professionals, academics around a range of topics that I think will bring value to you and the rest of the internet. I'd like to say that I appreciate all of you for spending your time here with me. And if you'd like to support my channel to continue to grow the guests I have, I ask that you please leave a like, maybe subscribe to the channel or leave a comment down below and share this with a friend or family member that you think this would bring value to. And if you're watching this and know someone that you think would be an interesting guest on this podcast, please message me on Instagram or leave a comment down below. So on today's podcast, I have my friend Fernanda Garcia, who is leading a campaign here in Charlotte, North Carolina called Project Red Cards, or Proyecto Tarjetas Rojas. As you just heard, this is a special podcast that can be played fully in Spanish. And Project Red Cards is a movement to spread awareness of these pocket-sized red cards that are designed to help people assert their rights and defend themselves in many situations by stating those rights in their native language. We also had a very in-depth conversation around the current border issues, the current immigration policies, how someone can get involved to assist, and much more. At the end of the day, we're all human, so I hope this conversation spreads awareness to those who may need it, and I hope it helps someone else understand the struggles that immigrants are currently facing. I hope you all enjoy listening to this conversation that we had. So, can you start and explain to me what Project Red Card is and why you decided to start this initiative?
Yeah, so Project Red Card is a project aimed to distribute red cards, also known as Know Your Right cards, for undocumented and documented individuals so that they can know their rights in case immigration officials approach them.
Okay, so what specific constitutional rights do these cards entail?
So it goes, on one side it's in Spanish and it just says to not open the door in case immigration officials come to your house without a warrant, to look at the warrant, make sure it has a judge that signed the warrant, make sure not to sign anything, and that you have the right to remain silent. And it says the Fourth Amendment that I am choosing the right to remain silent.
Okay. And so do you know how people can get involved with this project?
Yeah, so I recently made an Instagram specifically for Project Red Card. And on there, it just says where I'm distributing these cards. And as well as now it has a Google form on one of the highlights that says volunteer opportunities. And yeah, I launched the volunteer opportunities on Monday, and it has over 60 volunteers willing to make the cards and distribute them.
Really?
Yeah.
So is there like a criteria for that? Like this isn't like how is this going to work? Like they're all going to be volunteers now, or how does that work?
Well, I'm still working out those details because I just did it on Monday. Mm-hmm. But
it's Wednesday.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah. I did it Monday night and then woke up Tuesday and I was like, whoa, people actually signed up. And I thought maybe 10 people would sign up, but turned out there was way more than that, and it continues to grow. So it's kind of overwhelming me in the best sense that people actually want to help. But overall, if people don't have the time, there's also an Amazon link that says just red card stock and ink so that we can continue making these cards for more and more people. But overall, what was the question?
How can people get involved with Project Red Card? That was the question.
Oh, yeah. Just on the Google form. Mm-hmm. And, the second question of like, you made another question of that, but. Oh,
you're talking about like the process for volunteering and how that works. And like how, like are all 60 of those people going to be volunteers?
Yes, that 60 people. So right now I'm still working out the details, but hopefully we'll be having an initiative this weekend where people can help. Okay, so
have you seen any I guess what's the biggest obstacle right now? Is there any that you've started facing? Is it just getting the word out of getting these cards in the right places? And so what also defines, or where do you get the idea of where to put these cards? How do you choose these locations?
Mm-hmm. So I'm choosing predominantly Latinx communities. So for example, right now we have cards out in Concord and South Boulevard and East Charlotte. And so I chose these sites just because that's where the sites that would be mostly targeted because they're heavy in Latinx communities.
Okay. Is there any worry about these places being targeted now, that they're being posted and saying that there's cards here. Is there any fear of that?
I mean, I feel like these places would already be targeted. Even though I'm posting the location, there has already been comments of like people have been there before or visiting before or patrolling those areas before. So I'm primarily targeting the ones that would definitely have or will be targeted soon, so that the people that are most vulnerable in those locations have their rights.
Okay. And I know this is like a relatively new initiative. Have you heard anything about Charlotte, like the Charlotte community, anybody using these cards, or have you seen any like tangible impacts or anybody using them as mainly?
Well, I have been on other interviews, and the reporters that went to go see these red cards in action noted that there were very few already in the locations that had already posted them at, as well as where I started I have to be trying to see. I can't really say where I work at. So
don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm trying to figure out how to word it.
I mean, if no one's used them, it's not necessarily like...
Oh, like actively use them?
Yeah. Have you heard of anybody
actively having to use them?
Like against ICE or against police? Because I don't really know how it works. I don't know who's like involved. I know ICE is mainly involved, right? And then also the police, I guess,
sheriffs.
are doing sheriffs. And so I didn't know if anybody's like heard, because there's been ICE. I mean, I follow the pages where they're literally everywhere in Charlotte, on Archdale, South Boulevard, North Tryon, things like that. So I didn't know if you've heard of anybody actually using it and
actively using the card. I haven't heard of anything, but I know that a lot of people are distributing the word so that their loved ones or themselves have access to these cards and the information on the cards.
Okay. Are they only in Spanish, or are they in multiple languages? How does that work?
So linked on the bio in the Instagram, it does have the link of where I got the cards from and how to print them out. And they're in numerous languages. I just have been targeting the ones in Spanish. On one side it's Spanish, one side it's English. So I've been using those, but they're in numerous languages.
Okay. And so have you encountered any resistance or any resistance from local authorities or just law enforcement or anything like that, like putting these cards out there? I don't know if you've ran into like somebody like trying to stop you from doing it, essentially. Has that been an issue at all? Because I'm assuming you're putting these in places where they're going to be mostly accepted. You haven't tried to put them in areas where people are going to be less receptive to it, have you?
Well, usually whenever I go leave the cards, I ask them first if they have any place where I could put like cards at. They usually think that I'm talking business cards. So they'll ask me like, oh, like what are your cards about? Or they say no. And then I'm like, well, and I just take the moment to inform them what the cards are about. And then they change their answer to actually yes, leave them. Okay. So, but against like authorities, no.
Okay. And so now I kind of want to switch into getting an idea of like what are some of the biggest misconceptions about immigration rights that like this initiative and you both like aim and wish to address?
Immigration rights overall? Or
just anything in general. Like it could come to these cards, it could come to your rights when it comes to a police officer approaching you or ICE officer, anything like that could be helpful to other people.
I think that even though you're undocumented, that doesn't mean that you don't have rights. Everybody has rights, and I feel like just the cards will help you understand that you have rights and that you're able to use them if there's no warrant signed by a judge.
Okay, so there needs to be a warrant signed by a judge, essentially, for it to be useful. Okay. And so what can...
For them to enter a space,
Enter a space.
Into your home.
So how does that work when it comes into, like, public territories? Do you know?
For public territories, I just know that you have the right to remain silent, and you don't have to sign anything. Basically everything that's on the card. Other than that, I guess it will just depend on the authorities that are present with how they act. I know that it's mostly also just spreading awareness that I know that if you're undocumented, you automatically want to flee the situation. But I've realized that now if you run, which is the first instinct that a lot of people have, they have then reason. What is that called? Reason to
They have
reason to detain. That's what it is.
Pretty much.
Yeah, if you run, they have reason to detain.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so just like spreading knowledge on that as well.
Advice: don't run. That's the best advice to have, probably. If you had to give one piece of advice, it would be that.
To know your rights.
Know your rights. Do your research, which I know can be probably terrifying, though, when people are screaming at you and you maybe don't speak the language and you're just like, yeah.
Just not giving any, because I mean I know that for like authorities you think that you have to do everything they say just because they're authorities and you are scared, but you don't really have to say anything if there's not, like I said, a warrant signed by a judge, because they can present a warrant, but if it's not signed, it's not. Yeah,
gotcha. Okay. And so what can people, I would say, like, I fit into this category, who aren't necessarily Hispanic or immigrants but want to get involved? What do you recommend that these people do and like can help to progress this movement or assist in any other immigration issues?
I would say just to also do your own personal research in the cause overall, not just Project Red Cards, but like overall, just knowing who it's impacting, what the impact of that is doing, and sharing knowledge also.
So there's other, I don't know if we're going to talk about like the other pages that like within at least our area, like Charlotte, that you can post when you see certain things and things like that. Do you know of any right now off the top of your head?
Carolina Migrant Network is doing a great job with that. Okay. As well as, and then Comunidad Colectiva.
Okay. I will not try to spell that, but I'll have it here. Also another thing. So I saw you had this hashtag on your videos, but can you explain to me what the hashtag winter boots means?
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means.
So we've been realizing also on social media, specifically TikTok, that they're censoring a lot of the videos. And so they're saying like ice cream trucks and winter boots and stuff, referring to know your rights and ice presence. That's like a code name. Okay.
So hashtag winter boots is a code name.
And ice cream trucks.
Okay.
Ice cream truck refers to the presence of ice.
Okay, that makes sense. Where's winter boots come from? Do you know?
Not sure. Okay. I just saw that people started talking about their winter boots, and they would on TikTok, the algorithm is like if you have like TikTok shop linked, it'll start getting a lot more people to start viewing your videos. And if people comment, oh my gosh, I love these winter boots, and start hearting it and start clicking on those so-called winter boots, but the video is not about winter boots. It's about knowing your rights and ice rates.
Okay. So it just has to be in the comments or in the
to like keep going with the algorithm.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And so I kind of wanted to switch to a little bit deeper question. I don't know. I just kind of want to get your opinion on everything that's been happening right now. Obviously, it's been a very hectic, I would say, past like 9 days.
I know.
10 days?
It's been a few days, but felt like forever.
One thing that I've noticed is like there's kind of a strong hate towards immigrants, especially the Latino community. Where do you think a lot of the strong hate towards immigrants, especially the Latino community, is coming from a lot of Americans? I'm not even going to say a lot because it's not a lot according to the polls. It's like it's a minority that does it, but they're a very strong-voiced minority that have a hate towards immigrants.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, it's not a majority of the country that hates immigrants in the Latino community, but there is a strong minority that has a strong voice. And why do you think that is? And where do you think that strong hate comes from?
I think it stems from the administration, the current administration that just came on, and just the narrative that they're putting on the immigrant community, specifically people of color, and it's just categorizing as all immigrants are criminals. I mean, if you categorize criminals as trying to come into a country and build a good life for themselves with foot of opportunity, then I guess, yeah, we're criminals, but in the sense of we're trying to build a better life, not really. It just depends what you categorize as criminals and what the administration is categorizing everybody as.
It's a belief that every immigrant is a criminal, is what you're saying. So I have a more, I guess, interesting question of what's your opinion on the Laken Riley Act or bill that's just been, I think, signed into law today.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should specify for those listening. Laken Riley, if you don't know, she was a 22-year-old that was in November 2024 a nursing student at UGA, and she was murdered while jogging on her campus by an undocumented immigrant from Venezuela, and who was arrested after entering the U.S. illegally, but was later released in New York due to like sanctuary laws, I believe. And so, in response to this incident, the U.S. Congress enacted the Laken Riley Act in this month, which basically is legislation mandating the detention of undocumented immigrants accused of crimes such as burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting. It also empowers states to sue the federal government if federal immigration laws are not enforced. What's your opinion on this new bill being added?
Well, even like Laken Riley's family hates that her death was politicalized. Is that a word? Politicized. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, even they hate that it's politicized.
Yeah, politicized.
It was made into politics.
Yeah, it was made very politically.
It
was made a political debate.
Overall, like, I saw that even if they're not found guilty, before they find them innocent, they could already be deported. So anyone can really say, oh yeah, Maria's shoplifting, and then I get detained, and then I get sent back, and then it comes out to light that actually I was never shoplifting, and I was just there in the store. So it's unfair. So
what do you think about, is there ever a situation where deportation is justified in your opinion?
I mean, yeah, I'm not, like, obviously for people that have done wrong, they should be
deported?
No, they
like
should
practice in our, like, in basically like put in the court of law. Like held against,
like obviously they should what is that word? Gosh. Like they should like face justice. It's not face justice. It's like
they should be held accountable.
They should be held accountable.
The same way Americans are.
Yeah, they should be held accountable for their actions, regardless. But
do you think that's for undocumented and documented? Do you think they should be, like, essentially, if we had to put in this like category of there's an undocumented immigrant and he came over and then, like, let's say like the Laken Riley case, and he came over and murdered somebody and now he has life in prison here. Do you think that should be the answer, or that he should get deported and sent back to his country?
Both. Or
either one.
I don't know. Am I going to get canceled for this?
No, I'm just curious. No, you're not going to get canceled for this.
I'm like,
believe me, I've said way worse on this podcast, and other people have said way worse.
Yeah, whichever one. I feel like, especially if they just get deported, I feel like they can go live their life again over there. Like, if anything, they should be jail time, and then if anything, like, deported in jail time in their countries. Okay, so
it just depends, kind of. So, like, you think, I mean, I just want to, like, I guess clarify of, like, you're saying that either one of, like, they could go to prison here or getting deported could be, like, a reasonable answer depending on the situation. Okay. What would you say to the people that get upset about us using our tax dollars to have to pay for that, even though prisons are very privately owned? Besides that point, that's a big argument that people say. They're like, wow, why are we paying all of our tax dollars for these undocumented immigrants who've, like, committed crimes, and they're in our prisons? Like, why don't we send them back? Do you have,
I mean, sending them back is still going to cost American taxpayers money.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
So either way, whichever one, yeah.
Either way, it's a very expensive thing. I don't know. What do you think would be, I guess, where do you think the law line should be drawn then, I guess, on deportation? Like, do you, like, I know obviously I don't, in my opinion, like, I don't think somebody shoplifting should get, if they get detained, they should get sent back to their country. Like, that should not, I feel like, be the answer. But obviously if somebody commits mass murder, I don't think they should be staying here, if that makes sense. That's just my opinion, but I don't know if you have, like, a line where you think it's, like, okay to deport somebody versus not.
Well, not changing the subject, but kind of answering the question. Like I saw that, the White House just posted on their Instagram a series of pictures of criminalized immigrants that they have deported back to their countries. But a lot of these crimes that they committed are the same ones, if not less, than what the whole cabinet has committed. So then again, we have a felon as a president. So it's kind of, it just depends. Like, obviously, shoplifting should not, as well as, like, DWS. Like, I feel like just, like, overall.
Wait, you said what? Sorry. You said what?
DWIs.
Oh, DWIs. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I would draw the line. I think a DUI,
it's very complex. I guess it just depends situation to situation. But obviously, what I firmly don't believe is that they should be going and separating families when the people haven't done anything, just existed. Okay.
So do you have, I don't know, like the border policy and like everything like that, like the immigration policy is like very difficult and like a super complex problem that the U.S. faces. Do you have like an idea of what would be the best approach to creating like a sustainable border? Like, I don't know if you believe we should just have open borders or like, I don't know, a better process, right? Like, I'm assuming how people will come here like illegally. Do you think it's okay for them to just kind of like skip the line almost for the people that are doing it?
I definitely don't believe that we should have open borders, but I also don't believe that it should be so difficult for somebody to come here legally, because the whole process takes years, and that's why people just try to come without doing the process, because it's so complex and it's so hard, and at the end of the day you could be doing everything right and still be told no.
That is true. Yeah, it's not very, in my opinion, very, I don't know, sustainable for sure. I don't know. What do you hear? Because I know he just passed, I know he's getting sued, I think, about the law or bill that he proposed that is, or the executive order that says if you're born here but your parents were illegal, you're not going to get birthright citizenship. Have you heard about that? Yeah, what's your opinion on that one?
I just laughed whenever I heard it. I mean, America's founded by immigrants. Like, I don't see it. It's in the Constitution. And then one of his cabinet members, I forgot which one it was, but he said that law, that, I guess, right or Constitution,
I think it's executive,
whatever it was, but he said that it was unconstitutional that we just let people come in and have kids here and then they're Americans, but that's the basis of what America is.
So I guess if there are people trying to do it the right way, like they're trying to go through the visa process and all of that stuff, what do you think could be the solution for people that are already here that maybe didn't do that process, maybe cut the line, as some people say? Like, what would you think would be a good balance to that? Like, let those people who are doing the visas and then these people stay and then they can go in line? Or like, how does that work necessarily?
Like people that are already here?
Yeah, that haven't started the process or anything like that, and so they're just living here and they're just, people say, benefiting from not, the argument is like people say they don't pay taxes or like do all this stuff, and so like they skip the line essentially of people that are like gonna be productive citizens to society. So what do you think? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm asking? Like,
yeah. Well, first of all, the productive citizens, America wouldn't be what it is without the labor that immigrants do, because no American will be willing to be paid the $7.25.
Oh yeah, I saw that avocado post that everybody was reposting like last week. I think it was avocado, like the avocado farms in California. No, it wasn't avocado farms. You didn't see that?
I just didn't see it.
Oh, well, yeah. People were like talking about like they're still waking up at 5 a.m. to get your food, but like you want to get rid of them.
Oh no, most definitely. Yeah. And all the farm workers here, even locally in North Carolina, I mean, most of them do come with visas, but a lot of them do not, and so they don't even get paid $7.25. Like, their laws are totally different than our like working in corporate or whatever laws are. So they get paid by the packet, and so it's totally different. That's how we get our grocery prices the way they are, because of immigrants. And so overall, we do pay taxes, and we pay a lot in taxes. That's why the TIN number exists. And what was the question again? Sorry.
Some that's like basically like.
Oh, like if they should cut the line. I feel like there should be like requirements though, like how many years you've been here. You can't just come over here and say, hey, I'm already here and now I want papers. No, like I think if you're already established here, and depending on how many years.
Do you think they should be able to stay here while they're waiting for that process?
They already have their life. I mean, a lot of people haven't been home in over 20 years. If they were to go back, what exactly are they going to go back to? That's and also, true. If their country, they fled because they were unsafe, why would they?
They're refugees, essentially, yeah. Okay. So, do you think that, I mean, because essentially if you come here illegally, it kind of, and you're given citizenship, isn't it kind of like a negative reinforcer of like, you can do this illegal act and we'll still forgive you?
Wait, sorry, what?
So like for people that do come here illegally, right? And they're given citizenship. And so they like, maybe they skipped the process. They just were like, essentially like some people make an argument of like, you can come here. If you come here illegally, you'll get citizenship eventually. But don't you think that's like a negative reinforcement to like the whole rest of the world? Like, hey, come here illegally, break the law, and then we'll give you what you want, which is citizenship.
I think you're referring more to the like Venezuelans. I feel like that's totally different, just because they have a dictator, and so obviously they're trying to flee. In comparison to, let's say, other South American countries, I guess it's different circumstances.
It is, which I haven't even seen anything about European immigrants or
exactly
Asian immigrants, or
because the administration is all categorizing them as one big clump of South America and Mexicans. Specifically, we're all Mexicans to him.
Yeah. I'm not gonna disagree with that. But what do you think about? I mean, obviously, there's I think it's New York, L.A., Chicago, and so all these cities are sanctuary cities, and they refuse most of the time to apply or to comply with federal immigration laws. Do you think that these sanctuary cities are a good idea? Because I know there's a lot of people that say, I don't think that's really the issue with LA. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that LA has a lot of issues, and a lot of people don't like it anymore, and they blame it on that. They also blame it on also the state government and things like that. But do you think these are good policies? Like, would you be okay if Charlotte had that policy?
I'm pretty sure Charlotte accepts a lot of refugees, right?
Like, we're a sanctuary city?
I'm pretty sure.
Are we to the extent of, like, New York and Chicago and things like that? So, like, I don't understand, like, why, if we're a sanctuary city, like, is this that's happening in Charlotte also happening in LA?
What's happening in Charlotte?
Like, ICE everywhere?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's not...
It's targeting Chicago. It's targeting New York. It's targeting Miami. It's targeting big cities.
So we are a sanctuary city, and we're not doing that anymore, essentially.
I mean, I'm assuming we still are a sanctuary city. Like that, I don't think that changes. But because we are heavily with an immigration population, they're targeting here.
Okay. And so that's basically not even a thing anymore of the sanctuary cities, is what you're saying. Like, because shouldn't it be, if you're a sanctuary city, they don't, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, like, they're not going to comply and, like, basically send people, like, deport people. But we're doing that, right?
I don't really understand your question. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say, I thought sanctuary cities were the type of cities where they're like, if you come here, you're gonna be safe. We're not gonna deport you. You're essentially like, I
mean, we have an ICE office here in Charlotte.
Yeah. But there's also some in LA.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like necessarily.
I mean, yeah, I think ICE has their own separate things.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert.
I was like, I think, right?
No.
Like, ICE has their own, like, ask the question to Emily. What response do you have to that?
What? Like sanctuary cities?
Yeah,
Yes.
if we're still a sanctuary city, even though we're having raids. Yeah, right.
Law enforcement doesn't work with ICE.
Yeah.
Okay, but they are doing that now, or they're not? They're still not doing that, right? So it's just ICE.
It's the counties around us that are doing it.
Okay.
Like, for instance, I saw Cabarrus County today because I work in Cabarrus County, and I saw that sheriff's office there and police officers are working with ICE.
Mm-hmm.
So they already have, I saw this morning, about 16 people in ICE custody there.
So what do you feel for ICE in general as an institution? Do you feel like that should not be a thing at all? Or like, what do you think is...
I mean, ICE does more than just deporting people as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like when people see ICE, they get fear, they feel scared,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what they can possibly do. Especially if you have undocumented people in your family, you obviously get scared and you don't know what exactly to do. But I mean, I don't know. Is it bad if I say they're just doing their job? Like,
yeah, they're just doing it. I mean,
Yeah,
at the end of the day. But however, there is a counter argument to that, because you can say they're just doing their job,
but then at the same, they're going above and beyond to be hateful.
Are they?
Like, so, like, I mean, because truly, like, I
Yeah.
saw a video today, and like, there was this one person, like, happened in, I think, LA, and ICE officials came to their house, but the person that they were looking for was not there, so they said, we're not opening the door. And they read their rights, specifically what's on the red card, and immigration officials said, okay, if you don't open the door, we're gonna come in and we're gonna get everybody. When they don't have to do it, they have to get the person on them on the warrant, and they slipped a warrant, but the warrant wasn't signed, so they're like, we're not opening the door because that's not signed. But they try to intimidate to get the door open, and then saying, I'm gonna take everyone. Like, you don't have to say that. You don't have to continue the fear.
Is that even... So that's... I mean, obviously that's illegal for... If you're a citizen here. Do they... Is it the same laws for somebody who is undocumented?
Of your rights?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
You don't have to. Yeah, it's everybody's right. Like, you don't have to speak to anyone. You don't have to sign anything. You have the right to a lawyer and to be presented in court with a judge. Like, you have all the same rights as everybody else.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question. So you were just on a news channel, and so someone commented actually on one of the videos. I just wanted to get your...
Oh, really?
Yeah, wanted to get your response to it. So this is what he said.
I don't even know it. Gosh.
If they are here illegally, they need to go. The law of the land, despite Congress and many presidents ignoring it, is that they are to be deported. This reading the card just means they are going to arrest you and process you. After all, they aren't approaching you unless you have good reason to believe you are here illegally. If you are here illegally, you are good and you have nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you, Justin.
Yes.
Do you think I'm documented or undocumented?
What? Say that again?
Do you think I'm documented or undocumented?
I don't know. I've never.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
So how does that person think, if they have reason to believe that you're undocumented? What does that even mean? I don't have a sign that says I'm documented or a sign that says I'm undocumented. It's just racial profiling at this point.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you think about when he says the card is basically useless?
It's not useless because it says their rights. People that are very closed-minded would say something like that. But people that know their rights and know that, I mean, the law is above anything. If I even, me being a citizen, if I don't want to talk, I'm not going to talk, and you can't make me talk because I have my right. And like I said, you will have no idea of knowing if I'm documented or undocumented because I have the right to remain silent.
That's true. Do you think, I mean, so when you say, like, I mean, obviously, like, this is I had to do spell check on this because there was like a lot of obviously misspelled words. So obviously they're not the smartest person. However, this person probably does. It sounds like they hate immigrants. And so, like, I don't know. I just have a hard time, like, wrapping my head around like people. Like, is it even possible for you to put yourself in like their shoes, like their perspective of like why people feel this way?
I feel like people just don't have any empathy, and those are the people that don't want to learn why people left their countries and have the privilege of not having to know why.
I like that answer. Okay. And so another comment, which was this: last time I checked, you have no rights under the Constitution if you are a criminal migrant. The Constitution only applies to you if you are a U.S. citizen. How ridiculous. So as ICE is arresting you, you're going to hand them a red card, and that's going to make them go away? Sure.
On the back of the red card, it says, I do not want to speak to you. I am withholding my Fourth Amendment right, and I do not have to sign anything, and I will not talk without the presence of a lawyer. And that's the right of everybody.
Mm-hmm. So even if you are, so it was, once you're on U.S. soil, you have the right to a lawyer instantly. That's essentially what it is, right?
Pretty sure.
Okay. I mean, I'm not.
I hope so.
Yeah, okay.
But yes, I am pretty sure.
Okay. And so what would you say, like if Donald Trump was sitting right here, what would you have to say about, I guess, everything that's going on? I mean, we could talk about all of the other executive orders as well, but there's like, I mean, this is a big issue, especially in this area, in this community.
I haven't really thought about that. I
like,
guess
what would you ask him?
I saw this one post that was like a Mexican girl broke his heart, and that's why he's acting that way. That's the only thing I can think about right now. Just like, did a Mexican girl actually break your heart? Like, but no, overall, I think I feel like somebody told me that the first term that he was serving, we let him get into our heads, and that this time we have the ability not to let that happen. He's instilling a lot of fear into a lot of people, not only because of themselves, but because of their family members, because of their friends. If he was in front of me, I don't know if there's anything that I could say that would change his mind.
Do you think he actually believes in what he's doing, or do you think there's like other people involved that are influencing it?
I mean, he's a businessman.
Yeah. So,
I don't know if you saw everyone that was sitting in front row in his inauguration, but it was all the CEOs. Facebook, Instagram, Meta, Google.
Paul Brothers.
And then his cabinet was sitting behind them. So that speaks volumes to who he actually cares about.
That's true. Or do you think they're using him?
I mean, to get more money into their pockets?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it was, if I was a billionaire, that'd probably be a good move. If you already have...
To BFF the president?
Yeah, BFF the president, yeah. That's what I'm like, do you think he's doing it and they're coming to him, or...
I mean, at the end of the day, he's the one signing the papers, and no one can pressure you into talking but yourself.
That is true. So, what advice would you give to someone trying to start something like Project Red Card in their community? I honestly don't know. It's only like within, where's it like, so what's the range of where it's at? Like, do you know, like what cities or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I first started, to give you preface, I had the idea on Friday. Friday, we were cutting up the cards. Saturday, I was distributing. Saturday was the first day I actually posted. And to say over 100,000 people have watched the videos now. So just overall, probably more now with the news. But overall, I guess it's spreading more awareness that if you have an idea, go ahead and do it. And if you want to help people, go ahead and do it. You don't have to wait for, let's say, numerous people to help you on this, because it was literally a one-man job right now with the help of my BFF. But so
what advice would you say? Like, how did you, Like, what have you learned anything or like any issues that you ran into in the past week? Or
I didn't think it was gonna get so much attention, so I didn't think I would have to be doing. I thought I was just gonna be posting it, and people in the Charlotte community would be watching it, and maybe surrounding areas. Yeah. I didn't think it was gonna be numerous cities in North Carolina and numerous states. So now it's gonna be expanding to other cities and other states. But overall, the message is just to never underestimate the power of your voice.
And is there any worry? Because, I mean, news and internet, and there are people that are very hateful out there. Is there any worry about this publicity having a negative effect on you?
On me? You know, I thought about it the other day. Somebody brought it to my attention, and I feel like I'm very, how should I say, I really think the world isn't as hateful as it is, but obviously it is. And so I'm very aware of that as well. My views are out there in any platform that you see me on. You know what my views are, and you know that I come from immigrant parents. And so if I know that, matter of fact, let me change my answer. I know that there's a lot of people that are fearful of speaking out because they don't have any status. And I'm privileged enough to have the status. And my parents made sure that I knew how to use my voice, and I'm going to use it to the biggest extent that I can.
I was going to say, what do your parents and family think about this? Have they said anything to you about it?
I mean, I've always been very outspoken with my beliefs. I have been on for let's say the women's right movements. When that was coming out, I was also on the news for that, just because, like I said, I'm very outspoken. So I was just overall throughout college, I was the face of a lot of things. For homecoming, I was the one that said no whenever it was very controversial to pick a side between Palestine and Israel. Israel? Yeah. I chose Palestine, obviously, and for homecoming, it was like you choose an organization that you want to donate money to, and the president of my school and the school was going to donate money to that, and I made it a point to do Palestine, even though knowing that it was controversial.
What do you mean they were going to donate to Israel or Palestine?
Palestine. So yeah, let me rephrase. Yeah, so I chose Palestinian Medical Association.
Okay.
And they had to donate whether they liked it or not, because I won. And the same thing for the women's movement. I said who I was, and I said what school I went to and what I represented, and school had it. And the same thing for, oh gosh, why am I forgetting the things? The same thing for Healthcare Justice NC. I became a board member being a sophomore in college. I was the youngest one until now. I'm still the youngest one on the board. When everyone is retired and everyone asks me why am I on it, I'm like, people fail to think that just because you're young doesn't mean you don't have a voice.
So being involved in any of these had any negative personal relation? Has it been any negativity from any personal relationships? Has any relationships like fallen apart because of this? It's like friendships or even like family, anything like that. Has there been?
I mean, obviously a lot of people have different views, and everyone's entitled to their own view, but I choose to not associate myself with
people that don't have different different views.
I don't know how to put it. I don't know. Well,
people that have you choose to be around people that have similar views.
I choose to be around people that have similar views as me. Yes.
Okay. Do you ever worry that that'll put you into an echo chamber?
Echo chamber how?
Echo chamber is basically like the concept of you're surrounded by people that only have the same view as you, so then you start to mold your world and your life around these same exact views, and you never get anything that's different outside of it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, whenever I'm doing any of these initiatives, like the comments, there's always some kind of comment to what you're doing. Feedback, that's what it is. Whether it's family members, whether it's people at school, whether it's friends, everybody has something to say about what you're doing. But at the end of the day, it's what I choose to do. So,
so you're okay with it? You're not very scared of voicing your opinion and getting out there and saying what needs to be said?
Yeah, I forgot. I was supposed to put this in the last time whenever you said it, but there's a lot of people being fearful because they don't have a status. Mm-hmm. So myself and I, what's the grammarly correct?
We're talking. It doesn't. But you said
myself and others.
No, you say myself and others, or you'd say others and no, you wouldn't say others and I. You'd say myself and others. Yeah,
myself and others are choosing to speak up for like all the ones that are forced to remain silent.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you'd like people listening to know about Project Red Card?
You don't have to be a part of the project to share information. There's social medias out there, poster out there. You don't have to have cardstock red paper to get cards out there. You can get information out there if you really want to.
Okay. And I guess before we end, please let everyone know the best way to contact, get involved. Basically, in the Charlotte community, North Carolina, other states, what is the best way to get involved with you, or maybe even contact or anything like that?
Instagram handle is at Project Red Cards.
Just on Instagram? Okay.
Instagram and Facebook, yes.
Instagram and Facebook. Okay. Well, I would like to say thank you for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed this podcast. It opened up my mind, and I hope anybody that's still listening, if you are still listening, I love you, and hope it opened up and gave you some different perspectives. I'm not an immigrant. I guess
back
somebody immigrant, unless I'm Native American, but I am the product of immigration, and you are as well, and I think most people are,
if not everybody.
I think people should practice empathy, and hopefully this conversation opens that up. And yeah, so thank you for coming on, and I'm glad you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, peace.